Chris, do you have an opening question?
Sure. This was your first day to see these guys in a group setting, especially the new guys. How did those guys look?
Good. It was competitive. It was pretty much all defensive oriented, and so you don't get the up and down that you want. We did it in a couple situations and a couple of the scrimmaging that we did, but it was more about the defense and the movement. Everything was about getting stops on the defensive end. So we weren't going to see a whole lot of timing and flow by design. But everybody seems to be in decent shape. It's kind of a unique deal where not everyone's going to be in great shape right now. But I was pleased with conditioning, the movement. You see a lot of guys bent over, which is normal. But it was good. It's good to see.
Cassidy?
Hey, Coach Chris, how you doing?
What's up?
Not much. Okay, so obviously we participated in the early voting and you were a huge part of that. How does it feel to be a part of it again for the early runoff that's coming up and kind of in conjunction with the season starting up?
Yeah, I mean it's great on both the Hawks and Falcons part to really split the time, to be able to have people that are now used to going to State Farm and having the ability to vote, but then as our season is opening up as well, to not have to juggle the schedule too much. It's all shifted over to Mercedes-Benz, and there's more space, and it's an opportunity for the Falcons to really take part in this as well. But more importantly, it gives Fulton County residents two venues where they can vote at and really enjoy the experience. But we hope to have the same numbers of participation involved in the runoffs as we did in the primaries.
Back to Chris.
What are the ways you guys can build chemistry off the court this year? I know, obviously we're in a pandemic, and you guys are big on team dinners and hanging out with one another. And I'm guessing that can't be done this year. So what can you do?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's really hard. We're so used to our team dinners, and we're so used to our field trips, and we're so used to a lot of the things that we've done. I talked about it in my media session the other day. We have to maximize every opportunity that we have on the court, and in a lot of ways, that's going to be how we come together. When we get in this building, we have to. It can't be you're kind of halfway in, trying to get out early, trying to leave early. We have to spend time shooting together, competing against each other and shooting. And I'm talking about post-practice. The ability to really connect with the guy post-practice in the shooting drill will help. And, we can't even eat in our facility together. We've got to space it out. We've got to move. So, I think it's just one of those things where, and I talked to the guys yesterday, in the pandemic, in this atmosphere, you hear the word essential often. Go somewhere for essential items. When you go to the grocery store, essential workers are reporting back and should be out. We're seeing shutdowns occur. For us on the court and being together when we can do it is essential, and it's essential to us getting to know each other. And so we have to take advantage of every time that we have a group event, which is mainly practice and games. We have to take advantage of getting to know each other a little bit better, purposeful communication when we speak, when we hang out, when we're drilling, when we're doing whatever. That's going to be it. That's going to be the way for us to grow. And I think it's everybody. Everybody's going to have the same obstacles and difficulties trying to do things as a group.
Kevin Chenard.
Hey, Coach. I read somewhere, and this is going back about a decade, that when you did player development in Cleveland, that you were a stand-in for Rajon Rondo.
How'd you find that out?
I read a lot of stuff, Coach. And so what can you tell us about that experience? And if you had to do the same thing now, how would you emulate Rondo at his current age?
The one thing I was proud of in that practice, other than rolling my ankle and then having to hop on the airplane to go to Boston, because that didn't feel good in the air. But I got a steal. And one of the things we were trying to emphasize is when you get a defensive rebound, be aware of where Rondo is, because he's always poking around those bigs trying to get a steal. And I was able to get one in that practice with our players, which was pretty cool. He and I joked about it. I still have our 2 playoff books from 08 and 09 when we played against them. And, I was looking through the notes of what, the game plan was with regards to Rondo, and just aware of him picking up 94 feet, aware of him peeling back and trying to get steals on defensive rebounds, and his ability. We were trying to go under on all the pick and rolls. And, their adjustment, I think, after game 2 was they just set the screens lower. Now he's getting in the paint and getting to the rim. So, it was fun for me. I was still playing a whole lot with our guys and really active. And so that was an easy role for me, was to emulate him in a playoff setting.
Back to Chris.
From the little you've seen of Trey going back to minicamp and this week with individual workouts in today's training camp, how would you say you've seen him grow as a leader, both on and off the floor?
I think he's just settling in. We know what Trey's capable of doing on the court, and I think his ability to just to be excited and have fun, to really think the game through. I know Rondo's spoken about that and is wanting to be here and help Trey in his development. His development really isn't about the on-court stuff. It's the off-court stuff, and using his voice and positioning guys and really managing and controlling the game. And I think he's excited to do it. You can see him talking to guys differently, trying to position. He plays a little freer. He's getting off the ball a little bit more. In just today's practice, when we're talking to each other, you can hear him saying what he can do with Gallo and what he thinks he can do with Bogey and how he can help Cam and the ability to play with Clint. His mind, just that freedom of his mind, being able to have so many weapons at his disposal, it's going to make his job a lot easier. But he's anxious to learn all of those things and be able to. I'm going to try and empower him to do it, he and Rondo, to do it as often as they can, to just really kind of control the game. I said it the other day. I think I have an opportunity to sit down during games. It's going to be cold without fans in the gym, so I need to sit down and use Nate McMillan and Mel on each side. Those some big dudes. I'm going to get my comfort and warmth from them, but really trusting those guards to just kind of run the show. And Trey's excited to learn that part and mature into that part.
Go ahead, Chris.
With Trey specifically, obviously last year he was in the All-Star game as a starter. What do you think his next step of growth is? Is it being an All-NBA kind of guy, or is it something else that you see?
It is an individual. I think him understanding that the accolades are already there. He's fine. He's individually, he's fine. And so now that we've settled that, it's really about competing for something and really experiencing, seeing teams play in the bubble and get to those playoff spots and playing those playoff games and seeing teams like Miami advance. I text with him over the summer and I said, you would have been a star in the bubble and in the playoffs. Because as you get further and further along, everybody knows each other's sets. They know all the plays. They know what we're trying to execute. And then it's who can make plays at the end of the game. And we know what Trey is capable of doing. And so I think his next evolution is really to get into those type of games, that setting, that playoff atmosphere, those games that have a lot of meaning, and really be Trey. And that's where, he's a guy we all know is not afraid to take and make the last shot and make those big plays. But those are the ones that are really important in the playoff game. And I know he wants that moment. And I think that's really – if he's there, he's going to get the accolades he's looking for. We don't have to focus on the accolades. We need to get there, and everything else will fall in line.
Sarah Spencer.
Hey, Lloyd. Apologies if you said this earlier. What kind of work have you guys been able to do as a team so far, or has it just been individual workouts so far? I'm a little fuzzy on the exact schedule of what you guys are allowed to do when.
Today was the first team day, so the first actual practice.
Got it. What was it like to see everyone out there together for the first time? A lot a lot of new faces. I mean, I know you can't install everything you want to in one day, but what was it like just to kind of start things out with all the?
Yeah, I mean, I think the word we're trying to use is joy. Just really enjoying being out on the floor, and for the guys, the returning guys, what is it, 9 months of playing the charades of, are we going to go to the bubble, or are we going to create a mini bubble, or are we going to have a mini camp? And we got our mini camp and enjoyed it then. I think it was kind of the same feeling of just being on the court and having an official practice and knowing a week from now we'll be playing an opponent. And now that that's started, we can just have fun. We can have fun with our new teammates, our new players, our new guys. We can do it on the court together. We don't have to worry about 4 guys on the court at a time, and 2 guys and 1 coach, whatever the case may be. But that was the biggest deal. We were competing right from the start. The defensive oriented. Our players were yelling at our video guys, who are now our officials, because we can't bring officials in. And so a lot of stuff we have to clean up in terms of discipline and respect. But, I think everybody is trying to adjust to a new norm. And we have to really be comfortable in that uncomfortable setting of, not having officials here every day. And this is, only the guys that are with us are only guys that are going to be on the court. And we have to take different roles. Our video guys are officials. Our video guys are, offense sometimes. We have to be out there with them. But it's just good to have them on the court and have a team practice and just kind of build out a schedule. To have a schedule, have a routine is really important.
Thank you.
Back to Kevin.
Coach, it seemed like last season, when you get to a one-possession game at the end of the game, Trey being as amazing as he was last season, teams had the opportunity to kind of key on him at the end of games. With the reshaped roster, how do you see that playing out at the end of games with more talent around him?
The same. I think Trey's still going to have the same amount of attention. And I think, we feel comfortable knowing that we can, I think there's a lot of times where you look at the game and you figure out, well, are we down? Are we going to need offense? And you have an offensive group that you can put out on the court. And so if they want to pour a lot of attention into Trey at the end of the game, we're comfortable because we can put an offensive group on the court, and vice versa. We look at the game and we say it's one possession and we need to stop. We can put a defensive group on that court. But to have those options at your disposal, Trey's going to have the same amount of attention. That's not going to change, and we have to take advantage of that. To create opportunities for him to score, create opportunities for him to punish people with the pass. We saw that at San Antonio. They double teamed him. He kicked it to DeAndre Hunter. Kevin hits corner 3. We feel like we can do that with any of our guys on the roster now and put him in a position where he can still make plays, but we can punish you if you try and take him out of it.
Okay. 2 more questions. One from Chris.
From your conversations with the team over the past 9 months, did you get a sense there was added fuel to, be in the playoffs next year for the guys because they hadn't played in so long and they were able to see, 22 other teams go to Orlando and resume their seasons, and obviously the Hawks weren't one of those teams?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was missing the game, and to see that the game returned for some and not for us, hopefully makes today a day of appreciation and a day of really renewed focus. We have a new team. We have 9 new guys. There's a renewed focus on just this season because we can't control the 9 months that have passed. We didn't get a chance to go to Orlando. We weren't in position to be in Orlando. And the situation of what's going on in our world kept us from being able to play basketball for a long time. And so the focus for this year is to maximize every single opportunity we have, which means we can't let games slip away. We have to take advantage of this new roster. We have to come together quickly. I think those guys that you're referring to that were on the roster last year hated not being included. But I think we're all past that. What's done is done. I can't use statistics from last year's team to really pinpoint, our issues moving forward or issues that may come up moving forward. Rondo wasn't a part of anything we were doing last year. Neither was Gallo or Bogey. And so we're going to move forward. We understand that. We don't have a whole lot of TV games. There isn't a whole lot of respect, and no one gives a shit that we weren't in the bubble. We have to find our own way to be productive this year from start to finish.
Our final question for Coach Pierce will come from Sarah.
Lloyd, I think you said earlier that there was a little bit of a defensive focus today. I know it's really early, but what kind of do you see good defensive potential in this team, and how much of a priority is that with this group?
Well, yeah, I think the biggest thing is Solomon Hill was great. We had a great team meeting, and he was tremendous. His experience in Miami and the understanding of why they made it to the finals and the sacrifice. Use Myers Leonard as an example, guy that started every single game. And when they got to the playoffs, their decisions were based on what's going to help us win this series. And that's going to be sacrificed by a lot of guys. And that normally comes down to the defensive end and matchups, obviously, but the defensive end. Who's going to help us get stops in this series? But he was tremendous in explaining that, use the stat about being top 10 both offensively and defensively is almost a guarantee for you to have a shot at winning the championship. There aren't many teams that win that aren't top 10 offensively and defensively. Everyone's going to talk about what we're capable of doing offensively. Everyone needs to talk about what we are doing defensively, and that's going to be the mindset that we have to have from start to finish. I think we have some good offensive players. You still have to come together on that end. I know we're going to need some really good defensive players, and I know we have some, and we're going to need everybody to do their job. You got three defensive stoppers and two guys that are liabilities. The liabilities are going to get you beat. It isn't the three stoppers that's going to help you win. And so our team defense is going to be tremendous. A tremendous amount of focus will be there. Tremendous amount of effort will be there. And a tremendous amount of buy-in has to be there.
Thank you.
All right. I'll see you guys.
Thank you, LP.
Take care.
All right, everybody, we're going to roll right into Cam Reddish. So momentarily, you'll see him enter the screen. For your time, we're going to get rolling. Hope you're having a great day already. We're going to get started with the first question from Sarah Spencer.
Hey, Cam, good to see you.
You too.
Lloyd said that this was the first day of kind of real team practice and y'all being able to work out together. What did you guys focus on, and what was it like just incorporating, I think it's 9 new guys, and just getting to know each other on day one?
Yeah, it was a little bit different, of course, but it was super competitive, and that's exactly what we need and what we wanted. Guys were going at it, so I think that competitive nature and competitive atmosphere will take us a long way.
Was there a defensive emphasis?
For sure. We started out with defense, and it was tough, but I feel like if we want to succeed and go far and make it to the playoffs, I think it's definitely important.
Thank you.
Chris Kirshner.
Hey, Cam, how do you feel like you got better over these past 9 months, whether it be physically, mentally, just how do you feel like you've improved from when you last left off in March?
I feel like I improved in pretty much every aspect. Like you said, mentally, I definitely feel just more comfortable, a lot more confident, shooting the ball, driving to the basket. Offensively and obviously defensively, nothing's changed there. But yeah, what was your second half of that question?
I was just asking how you improved mentally and physically from where you were in March.
Yeah, and physically, I feel great, so I'm ready to get going.
Cassidy.
Hey, Cam, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
Good. Do you feel a big difference between mini camp and then training camp now, or does it kind of feel the same?
It feels a little bit similar. I think there's a completely different group of guys, so that makes it a bit different. But I think the competitiveness and the way we were just together in general was a little bit different from minicamp. A little bit.
Let's go to Chris Kirshner.
I spoke to Brandon Payne, I think last week, and he said that you got taller. Can you confirm that you actually did get taller?
Maybe a little bit. I can't really tell, but maybe a little bit.
So it's not like super noticeable then, would you say?
I'm not out here 7 foot now, but
We'll go to Sarah.
Cam, you guys added a handful of high-level vets who have won at a pretty high level. How can this group of veterans help you guys?
Just using their voices. I feel like so far, even the first one practice we've had, guys like Rondo, Gallinari, guys have been speaking up, speaking their minds, and I feel like from a player's perspective, that's what we want, and that's what we need. Just makes you feel better. So I think those guys continue to use their voices is a big part for us.
Edwin Powell.
Good afternoon, Cam. A lot of people have talked about a comfort level going from year 1 to year 2. What are some things that are more comfortable for you going into year 2?
Honestly, everything. The playbook, my teammates, obviously the style of play, and then the 3-point line. At first last year it seemed like it was deep, but just getting more comfortable with that, shooting a bunch of reps throughout this hiatus, however long it was, 9 months. But I would just say I think just in general, I just feel more comfortable, with the whole game of basketball.
Cassidy.
Hey, Cam. All right. So I got a non-basketball related question, but I'm sure you've seen a lot of people post their Spotify Wrapped and Apple Music replay. So I have a 2-part question. Are you an Apple Music or Spotify person?
Apple Music.
Okay. And so who was your top played artist for your Apple Music replay?
I didn't even look. I didn't look, but I would assume probably Young Boy, G Herbo, Gunna. I don't know who else.
That's fair. I just had to ask. Thanks.
Sarah.
So I know it's really early to ask this question on day 1 of when you guys first get to work out together. But this is a team that's obviously aiming for the playoffs. What kind of potential do you think this team has with what's returning and also the guys that you're now adding to the mix?
I think we have a ton of potential. I think we have an opportunity to be really good. We're deep. We have a ton of players, and we can shoot the ball. We can do pretty much everything. So I really just think it's a matter of just coming together and really just buying into what our coaches are saying. And the sky's the limit from there.
To follow up on such a deep roster, there's obviously going to be more competition for playing time. That's something that Lloyd has talked about a good bit. Is that something that you're looking forward to? Like, do you view that as a challenge to kind of fight for those minutes?
Yeah, for sure. I ain't never really been scared of no competition. So, I'm really ready for whatever.